Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from the Transcendental Diary by Harisori Prabhu. We are in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Rameswar Swami sent a letter from the west coast of America in response to the recent GBC letter about the drug dealing devotees from Laguna Beach. In order to help the temple become financially independent, he proposed changing Revatinandan Swami as the temple's manager. Of course, drug dealing devotees is in so-called, it's in quote. Frankly, Revatinandan Swami, who is doing nicely by preaching and having 2 feasts for guests each week, openly admits that he cannot organize book distribution there and has become dependent on donations to support the temple. Also, he is unaware of the extent of the blooped devotees' unauthorized business activities. From LA, we will supply some Sankirtan men so the temple can immediately start a book distribution program. Rameswar Maharaj adamantly denied any GBC involvement in this deviation. I have carefully checked into the charge that GBC men are involved with this business, and the truth is that it is a most heinous lie. The ex-devotees who profit from this business perpetuate this lie to convince innocent devotees that this business is authorized by the GBC and your divine grace, and that you can do anything for Krishna. In this way, they preach to canvass our men to assist them in this business, but they keep all the profits for themselves. The GBC men, especially Jayatirtha, Hridayananda Swami and myself, have been preaching very strongly against this, but to no avail, because the ex-devotees involved insist that even you have sanctioned it. And to this day, the very same men who were involved 2 years ago are still actively involved. I feel the only solution is to immediately become independent from their donations, their restaurant, and all their other activities. And unless you instruct me otherwise, I will begin to reorganize things. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Dev Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine. Hare Krishna. So it's interesting thing happening here. So Harisori's Prabhu's Transcendental Diary is a nice history of ISKCON. We have many biographies of Prabhupada, but we don't have a lot of history in a sense. So you can know a lot about ISKCON's history by reading this. And it's just not just one, it's a 6 volume, I think. And it's a nice history, and we find so many interesting things when you read ISKCON's history. It is said, history repeats itself. If you do not know the history will repeat. So it is very important for, let's say, any group of people, any community, any country to know the history, because we have to learn from history. Yeah, experience, they say experience is the best teacher. So if we do not learn from our past mistakes, then we are gonna repeat it it's very likely we will repeat it. So that's why it said those communities that don't remember their past don't have a bright future. Right? So it's nice to know also ISKCON's history so we do not repeat the same mistake. And in the initial days and even after Srila Prabhupada left, many mistakes were made. You can read about it. And one thing here that's being said is devotees, they were drug dealing also. And in the name of what's written here, you can do anything for Krishna. So we may not be doing that right now, but the principle is if we are not vigilant, if we are not under proper guidance, then deviation is very easy to happen. So it's very important that everyone is vigilant. Vigilant means very conscious of what they are doing, and just be under guidance, be under the guidance of sadhus, under the guidance of shastras, under the guidance of Guru, and foremost in ISKCON, under guidance of Srila Prabhupada. So we don't have these deviations. Yeah. And deviations can come in many different forms. This is a very deviation that is very easy to figure out. Drug dealing, oh come on, you can't have that. But then deviations can be very subtle also. Like sometimes philosophical deviation is the most dangerous, so to say. It can come in many forms. And Srila Prabhupada, he was very careful to ask the devotees not to change anything. But then he would also say you have to be creative and adjust according to time, place and circumstance. So he gave apparently two different instructions, but it's not different in a way, because he said don't change anything. The principle cannot be changed. The principle of devotional service cannot be changed. So as devotees, we need to study the Shastra properly so we know what the principle of Krishna consciousness is. And then the details are to be adjusted according to the time, place and circumstance. So it's interesting. There can be small ways also, not so big like drug dealing, but we could also be careful in things that we say we are doing it for Krishna, but actually we are doing it for ourselves. In the name of Krishna. In the name of Krishna, we are doing it for ourselves. And that is also, we have the Krishna conscious philosophy. It can be misused very easily if we are not doing under the right guidance. It's very important that we do things under guidance. We ask the devotees around us, is this okay what I'm doing? We read the shastras properly, try to assimilate all the knowledge, try to get the essence. Pray to Krishna that we get the essence of the shastras, so we understand that we do not make this mistake of, we are doing it for Krishna. And it can be anything. For example, you may, let's say, be so enthusiastic and then you neglect, let's say, you just see your family members as someone who are not inclined to spiritual life, and then you may just disrespect them in the name of doing it for Krishna. Just an example, a crude example. So yeah, important point. Any comments or maybe additions, questions?
I think that's the more important thing, to be humble, because when you're not humble, maybe then when you have a bigger false ego, then you say, hey, I do it for Krishna, but because you got a so big false ego, then you do it maybe for yourself. Maybe when you're humble,
yeah, that's true.
much more.
That's true. Yeah, we have to be humble and we have to be ready to be corrected. That also comes with humility. Because in a sense, the devotees who were leading the movement after Prabhupada left, they started with being humble. But somehow along the way, so many things happened. And they were, well, in a sense, they were not humble also, because they started to enjoy the glorification being given to them. And many of the leaders, they could not follow the instructions properly, and they fell down. So yeah, it's very important to be humble, to understand at every point we live to be corrected, basically. Yeah, that is what it means to be a disciple, that you are willing to be corrected. Of course, we don't want to be, we should have some devotees in our life who we trust and who when they correct us, we don't get offended. We don't want to be corrected in a sense by each and every one, because there might be someone who will come correct you just because they are envious of you also. They just have some animosity towards you, and then they are just correcting you, and then you might be discouraged also. We don't want that also, but we have to have someone whom we trust, and we trust that this person is saying it for my benefit. And then we open up to these devotees, so then they can correct us. This is also important. Yeah, so anything else?
It would be a kind of question, like after Prabhupada's demise, there, I don't think so there were any other senior spiritual masters, I would say. So when the disciples of Prabhupada, if they used to make some mistake, who would correct them? Or like whose guidance would they take in order to correct their mistakes? Is it only Shastras or any other devotees from?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because in a sense, Srila Prabhupada did say that I will live forever in my books. But at the same time, the physical presence was also really missed. Devotees really missed his physical presence, and a lot happened. But the Guru principle also works when it's the Guru Tattva, it's not like... so when someone is ready to be corrected, Krishna sends people to correct you. So like Prabhu said, we just have to be humble, and then we have to, it is said, by Krishna's mercy, you get a Guru. And by Guru's mercy, you get Krishna. So when someone is ready to be corrected, when someone wants to improve, Krishna will tag someone. Krishna will empower someone to correct you. So we can say that even when Srila Prabhupada was not here, when devotees would get together and discuss, the Guru Tattva principle would come into place. Even though there was not someone, of course, Srila Prabhupada's books were always there. And I mean, in a sense, that's why it is said you have to have Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, three things. It's not just enough that you read the Shastras, but you have to have association of devotees who tell you, and then you also have to have Guru. So three things are important to receive guidance, to not be cheated, So yeah. So we will stop here in the Transcendental Diary and move on with Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudirayat Nastaprayasva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pankam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Ramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hariom Tat Sat. So reading from Canto 6, Chapter 16, Text 59. Smritvehayam pariklesham tata phala viparyayam abhyam chapi anihayam sankalpad Ramet Kavihi Smrit Vehayam Pariklesham Tatha Phala Viparyayam Abhayam Chapi Anihayam Sankalpad Viramet Kavihi Smrit Vehayam Pariklesham Tatha Phala Viparyayam Abhayam Chapi Anihayam Sankalpad Viramet Kavihi Smritvayam Pariklesham Tatha Phala Viparyayam Abhayam Chapi Anihayam Sankalpad Viramet Kavihi
Smritvehayam pariklesham
Smritvayam Pariklesham
Tadapala viparyayam
Tatha Phala Viparyayam
Abhayam chapi anihayam
Abhayam Chapi Anihayam
Sankapat viramet kavi
Sankalpad Viramet Kavihi
Smritvehayam pariklesham
Smritvehayam Pariklesham
Tatapala viparyayam
Tatha Phala Viparyayam
Abhayam chapi anihayam
Abhayam Chapi Anihayam
Sankalpat viramet kavi
Sankalpad Viramet Kavihi
Smritvehayam pariklesham
Smritvehayam Pariklesham tatha phala viparyayam abhayam chapi anihayam sankalpad viramet kavi. Word for word. Smritva, remembering. Ihayam, in the field of activities with fruitive results. Pariklesham, the waste of energy and the miserable conditions. Tataha, from that. Phala viparyayam, the opposite of the desired result. Abhayam, fearlessness. Cha, also. Api, indeed. Anihayam, when there is no desire for fruitive results. Sankalpat, from material desire. Viramet, should cease. Kavihi, one who is advanced in knowledge. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Remembering the great trouble found in the field of activities performed for fruitive results, and remembering how one receives the reverse of the results one desires, whether from material conditions or from the fruitive activities recommended in the Vedic literatures, an intelligent man should cease from the desire for fruitive actions, for by such endeavors one cannot achieve the ultimate goal of life. On the other hand, if one acts without desires for fruitive results, in other words, if one engages in devotional activities, he can achieve the highest goal of life with freedom from miserable conditions. Considering this, one should cease from material desires. There's no purport. I'll read the next verse. Oh, the chapter finishes, no purport. Okay, 60 to 65. I'll just read. Text 60. Sukhaya dukha mokshaya. I'll just read the sloka. Yeah. Kurvate dampati kriya tato nivritir apraptir dukhasya cha sukhasya cha. Translation. As husband and wife, a man and woman plan together to attain happiness and decrease unhappiness, working jointly in many ways. But because their activities are full of desires, these activities are never a source of happiness and they never diminish distress. On the contrary, they are a cause of great unhappiness. Text 61-62. Evam viparyayam buddhva nrinam vijnabhimaninam atmanascha gatim shukshmam sthanatraya vilakshanam drishta srutavir matravir nirmuktas vena tejasa yana vijnana santripto mad bhakta purusho bhavet. Translation. One should understand that the activities of persons who are proud of their material experience bring only results contradictory to those such persons could conceive while awake, sleeping, and deeply sleeping. One should further understand that the spirit soul, although very difficult for the materialist to perceive, is above all these conditions, and by the strength of one's discrimination, one should give up the desire for fruitive results in the present life and in the next. Thus, becoming experienced in transcendental knowledge, one should become my devotee. Text 63. Persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life must expertly observe the Supreme Absolute Truth and the living entity, who are one in quality in their relationship as part and whole. This is the ultimate understanding of life. There is no better truth than this. Text 64. O king, if you accept this conclusion of mine, being unattached to material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of knowledge and its practical application in life, you will achieve the highest perfection by attaining me. Text 65, the last verse of the chapter, Sukadeva Goswami speaks. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, after thus instructing Chitraketu and assuring him of perfection in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master, the Supreme Soul, Sankarshan, disappeared from that place as Chitraketu looked on. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 6th canto, 16th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Chitraketu Meets the Supreme Lord. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest region of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes. With the torchlight of knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamascha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadbhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is Chitraketu and the Lord meeting. So Srila Prabhupada would say, you can see Krishna and meet him face to face. If you engage in pure devotional service, you can meet Krishna face to face. So we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, so many devotees, they would pray and then Krishna would appear in front of them. For example, Dhurva Maharaj, he prayed, and then Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him. And then Chitraketu also, Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him, and he was very pleased. And he, honestly, I forgot how the chapter starts. I should have maybe done a little bit of recap, but anyway, I will try to say something. So one interesting thing, there is no purport in these 5 verses, so I'll just try to say something on the verse itself. On text 60, it says, as husband and wife, a man and woman plan together to attain happiness and decrease unhappiness, working jointly in many ways, but because their activities are full of desires, these activities are never a source of happiness and they never diminish distress. On the contrary, they are a cause of great unhappiness. I sometimes think this, Jai Shishi Vijay Gauranga Doyle Nitai Ki Jai. Because when I was 13 years old, I got Prabhupada's book, and I started chanting a little bit. So I could not engage in so much of sense gratification. uh, what I mean is, when I hear things like there is no happiness in the material world, I question in a sense like I have not experienced this statement that there is no happiness in the material world. But when I talk to people, and then when I give the example, Srila Prabhupada gives us this example that the happiness in the material world is like a mirage. You know a mirage? You don't see so much here, right?
In Gulf, yeah, you see.
Yeah, in Gulf you see.
Because
In hot places you see. So mirage used especially on the highway, right? So you think there is water there, but then you go there is no water. And when I share this with people, it really clicks with them. They say, this is so true. Because they have a lot more experience than I have. People have different experiences, and when I just try sharing this example, everyone is like their light bulbs. It's like they instantly get it. That's so true. That is a very nice example. That's exactly what happens. That exactly what is happening with me. That's what they share. One person was smoking, and I was just telling him this exact same thing. He was just smoking, and I told him, the happiness in this material world is like a mirage, and when you go there is no more happiness there. And he just threw away his cigarette, and he says, this is exactly what I'm doing with this cigarette. I can't find happiness anywhere, and I'm just trying with so many different things, intoxication, and then sex, and then so many other things, that's very true. So I learned from them, that I don't have to actually experience material happiness to know that there is no happiness in the material world, because I can learn from them. They have this realization that there is no happiness in the material world, so I can learn from them. I don't have to, so to say, get my hands dirty. I'm not saying that I'm such a high level that I have not done much, but it's just that I got introduced when I was a little, when I was young. So I did not have the chance, so to say, to experience much of the material happiness, so to say, in a very wild way. I did try a few things, but I don't have the experience of going it so wild and taking it to the furthest limit and then saying, oh, there is nothing here. There is one quote by Jim Carrey. He says, everyone should be very rich. Everyone should be very rich so that they can realize that this is not the way to happiness. So that was interesting. But we can learn from Shastras, we can learn from the experience of others. We don't have to go through it ourselves. We save a lot of time if we can learn from other people. And sometimes even after going through it, we don't learn, so it's a lot safe if we just hear from others and we understand that there is no happiness in the material world, right? And there is something called midlife crisis. I don't know if you know this phrase. It's like when people get to the age of 40 or something, and then they have everything they want. They have a nice career, they have the family that they want, they married that girl that they always wanted to marry, and they have nice children, they have a nice house, they have nice cars, and then they have everything they ever wanted, but it does not satisfy them. And that's what it's generally called midlife crisis. That you get to a point where you thought, when I get this, I would be super duper happy, but it doesn't really happen. And if we just talk to anyone over 40, they will tell you there is no there is no happiness. But if you talk to someone below 20 and if you tell them, there is no happiness in the material world, what will they tell? No, you don't have the experience, they will tell. When Srila Prabhupada, he was talking with in 26 Second Avenue, in a way he came to the most interesting place, in a way, because he came right into the place where people were trying to experience freedom through sex and drugs. And to that environment, he's told no illicit sex, no intoxication. So he was such a revolutionary. And then there were two guys once who came to meet him. They were like proponents of intoxication. Let's say they were intoxicants guru. So they came, and then they were having conversation with Prabhupada, and they asked him, they were just having conversation, and Prabhupada said, you don't need intoxication to get high. You can get high by chanting or by devotional service. You can be on a high platform. You don't need intoxication. And these two guys, they just asked Prabhupada, but you have never tried intoxication. How do you know? So of course, Prabhupada had never tried. He had not even drank coffee in his life. And he said, I have never tried it, but my disciples have tried it. And they have told me this is higher. So, and they understood. So it's interesting that even if you have not tried, Prabhupada would say there are three kinds of people. The first kind of first-class person learns when they hear from others, right? The second type of person learns from his own experience. And the third type of person does not learn from any of these two. Right? So we are mostly on the second type. Yeah, it's maybe if we meditate a lot, we can be a first type in few ways, but most of us, we are on the second type, that we learn from experience. But in some ways we can also go to the third type, that we never learn.
But when we are the third type, then nobody would come to Krishna consciousness.
In some ways, I'm saying, not in every way, but maybe in some ways we are the first kind, maybe in some ways we are the second, in some ways we are the third. So yeah. And Bhagavatam is full of stories that teach us, because they have already experienced it. You know, for example, Indra. We can learn so much from Indra's story. You know, Indra, Lord Indra, although he's a demigod, he's a devotee. He's not a pure devotee, but he's a devotee. He's a manager. You know, he does a lot of service. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Indra was embarrassing himself so many times. You know, yeah, so many times. I mean, just imagine Indra tried to kill all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. You know, that's such a nasty thing to do. To kill all the devotees in Vrindavan. He was trying to do this. And before that also, I mean, in so many places, in the case of Prithu Maharaj, I think it was Prithu Maharaj, he becomes so powerful that Indra is envious. And Indra is envious, and he tries to stop the sacrifice that stops him from becoming the king of heaven. And then to stop the sacrifice, he dresses as a sadhu to come and steal a horse to stop the sacrifice. And then somehow, I think the son of Prithu Maharaj finds out, and he tries to kill Indra, because he thinks this is such a dangerous thing, that you have come dressed as a sadhu to cheat. So this is a very dangerous thing. So Indra, he embarrasses himself many times. But for us, it's a very nice lesson, how we don't need to be embarrassed in that way. You know, at one point Indra got the body of a hog. He was just enjoying the stool, right? And then I think some seniors came and told him, let's go back, and he didn't want to go back. You know? So we can learn so much from Indra and so many other pastimes also. So, and it's full of these we call precautionary tales. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of stories of pure devotees, and then people who didn't do it so nicely, but it's there to teach us. You know, for example, Hiranyakashipu. He was the greatest materialist. You know, he was the greatest materialist. We see so many people who are very great these days, you know, very great materialist, but who can be as great materialist as Hiranyakashipu? It is said when he would move his eyebrows, the demigods would fear. So he conquered all the three worlds. So he was such a great materialist. And imagine, he wanted to be immortal. That was his plan. He wanted to be immortal. And he asked for it. And somehow Brahma had to tell him, even I am not immortal. How can you be immortal? I give that blessing. So he was very smart, Hiranyakashipu. He was very smart. He tried to find a way that he will never be killed. What did he say? What's the boon he asked for from Brahma?
Neither death in day or night.
Neither day or night. And what else?
Not by man, not by
animal. Not by man, not by animal.
Not in the sky, not on the earth.
Not in the sky, not on the earth. Not outside, not inside. not with any weapons, I think. Right? So many things. And but Krishna is more smart. He came in such a way, he satisfied each and every point that Brahma gave, but then he killed him with nails, on the lap, half man, half lion. And then he killed, I think, on the doorway.
On the doorway.
Yeah, not even inside, not on the outside.
Not on the sky or on the ground.
Yeah, on the lap. And I think he told Brahma later on, when you give blessings, be careful. Don't just give blessings to everyone like that.
Even with Lord Shiva also.
Oh, yeah.
He gave blessing that.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the demon.
Mm.
Yeah. If he touches anyone's head,
Yeah.
he dies, something.
Yeah. So Hiranyakashipu also so many things to learn from him. That however great materialist you may be, you will always have anxiety. Because Hiranyakashipu, he was always anxious. Will somebody take my power? And he was so envious that he tried to kill his own son. Such a big materialist. So however big materialist we might be, the fear of losing it maybe will never go away. The fear, the anxiety that comes with it will never go away. People like to go for vacation to have a calm mind. But then the mind goes with you. Wherever you go, your mind goes with you. So even when you are on a nice beach chilling, nothing to do, your mind is still with you. So unless your mind is peaceful, wherever you go, it's not going to work. So that's what we learn from Hiranyakashipu. You can have anything, but you can be the master of the whole demoniac society, or the whole world. But unless and until you are peaceful, you can't be happy. There is a sloka in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakale asanta Krishna bhakta niskam athave shanta. What does it mean, Pankaj? I told in Bengali. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakale ashanta Krishna bhakta niskam athave shanta. What do you think? Just a guess.
First few things, bhakti.
Bhukti.
Bhukti means
someone who tries to enjoy.
Yeah.
And mukti means someone who wants liberation. Siddhi means one who wants mystic power.
Okay.
Kami means someone who
desires for
material profit. Sakale asanta, they are always unhappy. Krishna bhakta niskam athaeva shanta.
Krishna bhakta athayeva nishchaya shanti. That means like the devotees of the Lord Krishna, they are like
always happy. They don't have any desires. That's why they are always happy. Their only desire is to please Krishna. Niskam. Right? So it's a simple thing, but very deep. Right? That when people ask, what do I get by becoming a devotee? You guys are such torturing yourself. You don't eat all these things. You don't smoke. You don't have intoxication. You wake up at 4 o'clock. Who wakes up at 4 o'clock? You have such a difficult life. people say. But when the first thing I tell someone, what do you get, is you become peaceful. You have no anxiety. You have no fear. That's one, and that is just a byproduct. That's not even what we are looking for. Devotees are not looking to be peaceful. They want to please Krishna. But the byproduct is you just get peaceful. You don't have anxiety. Because you know that Krishna is the ultimate controller. Right? So in this chapter also, Chitraketu, he had, we learned from him that he had a crisis. We all go through crisis in life. So Chitraketu also had. What was his crisis?
About the son.
His son. Yeah, his son died. He was so unhappy. And then he had to go through that crisis for sadhus to come and tell him. The sadhus actually ask the dead body to wake up and tell him. So it's instructive in a way that crisis provides us with an opportunity for growth. Difficulties can really help us if we take shelter of Shastras and Sadhus during that time. So Chitraketu, he took shelter and then he became a devotee. He became a pure devotee. And he got darshan of Vishnu. So, and at the end it says, Sri Sukadeva Goswami says, Sankarshan disappeared from that place as Chitraketu looked on. So Chitraketu, when he first saw the Lord, he was so mesmerized. Imagine you see Vishnu in front of you, how mesmerized you would be. We can just imagine. So when Vishnu comes, he comes whenever devotees, it is said, when devotees pray, and then so many times in the Bhagavatam, Vishnu comes personally. And when he comes, there are few things that Sukadeva Goswami describes, how Vishnu looks. Do you remember anything? What is Vishnu's appearance?
With 4 arms.
With 4 arms, yes. Anything else?
Kancha.
Yeah, Sankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma in the hands. What else?
Radiance from the jewelries.
Jewelries. What kind of jewelry? What kind of earrings?
Oh, a fish.
Yeah, what was that? Shark-shaped. Shark.
Shark-shaped.
Shark-shaped earrings.
Okay.
Right? And he has a helmet. What else? He has garland. And Pitambar dhoti.
Yeah.
Dhoti is pitambar, meaning like yellowish, kind of yellowish. And what else?
Bluish.
Is bluish. What else?
Petal-shaped eyes.
Yeah, so his eyes are described like lotus. All the and
What is that thing what he has on his bra,
on his chest? Yeah, this is very important.
The footprints of
Lakshmi.
No.
Srivatsa.
I guess.
Yeah, that's called Srivatsa.
What is it in Srivatsa?
It's like a hair. It's a tuft. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a jewel or something.
Jewel is Kaustuba.
Yeah.
He's also wearing a Kaustuba jewel, and then he also has a Srivatsa sign on the chest. It's a tuft of hair. Tuft means like just one hair.
Oh, okay.
And it's called Srivatsa. So yeah, he's wearing Kaustuba gem and Srivatsa. Actually, in the Vaikuntha planets, everyone looks like Vishnu. The only way you can separate Vishnu from the other is you have to look if he is wearing Kaustuba gem or not, if he has a Srivatsa sign or not. Only Vishnu has this.
But that's really hard to see when you have to.
Yeah.
Do he has a hair or not?
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard to see.
Yesterday, Sudama Prabhu was telling the same thing. Like in Vaikuntha planet, everyone has the same form, but the difference or the way to differentiate between Vishnu and the Vishnu Dutas are like the Vishnu Dutas will have the attitude of service, whereas Vishnu is the supreme soul.
Right. Yeah. So Vishnu came and then he gives darshan. And how does he come? When he is coming? What's his Garuda? He comes in Garuda. Right? He comes in Garuda flying. And one thing is mentioned, he is always smiling. Well, any point, if you see the description of Vishnu appearing, he is always smiling. Even when the Jai and Vijay, when they wanted to go to Vaikuntha and the four Kumaras wanted to go to Vaikuntha and Jai Vijay stopped them and Vishnu comes. So they are having this argument, Vishnu comes, he is also again smiling. Every time Vishnu is, when he comes, he is smiling.
There was one sage, I don't exactly remember the name, but then he went to Lord Vishnu with some complaints, but Vishnu was resting, closing his eyes, and then he just kicked him on the chest.
Yeah.
Still he was smiling.
Yeah. I think it was, I forgot the name of the Muni, but he wanted to check who is the supreme person.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Because Shiva became really mad.
Yeah.
And Brahma was also not pleased with him.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I think there it said, to Lord Shiva, he offended only with his mind. To Lord Brahma, he offended with his words. To Lord Vishnu, he offended with his action. And even then, Vishnu was not agitated. And then he concluded, okay, this must be the Supreme Person. So, yeah, interesting pastimes. So, Nityam Bhagavata Seva, this is the importance of, even the Bhagavatam itself says you should read Bhagavatam daily. In the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavate Uttama Sloke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So even the Bhagavatam says we should hear Bhagavatam regularly. So that is why we have regular Bhagavatam discussions, and on our own also we should just read Srimad Bhagavatam. Just sit down and read. And then that will, as a byproduct, just to encourage, since we have so much of anxiety in this world, just to encourage everyone, you will be free from anxiety. But that is just a byproduct. We get so much of happiness by serving Krishna. Okay, anything anyone would like to add? Or any question? I think you added quite a lot. But any point?
Question?
Yeah.
Kan ik lezen schriften alleen?
Can you read alone? She asked, right?
Yes.
Kan ik alleen lezen deze schriften, heilige schriften?
Yeah. Yeah. Alone, with devotees. Of course, these discussions are also important, but we have to do ourselves also.
It gets interesting when you discuss with devotees and then.
Yeah. Both are needed, because when you are doing it alone, Krishna is there in the heart, and Bhagavatam is alive. It's not just a book. Bhagavatam is literally incarnation of Krishna. So when you just sit down and read, It's not like reading other books. It's like Krishna is reciprocating from the heart, and Bhagavatam is reciprocating from outside. And you have, it's like you are not alone, when you are reading by yourself also. Right, Pankaj? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can always sit together, invite, just call a friend and say, hey, let's maybe once a day or once in few times a week, let's just read and let's just discuss. And so many nectar can come out of it. Yeah. And then alone is also needed.
I mean, when back then when I was in Oman, that time, like, since a lot of devotee association I used to go, and so like I didn't have much that habit of like reading Bhagavatam, but then I used to attend the lectures and I used to find that like very helpful for me. And then all of a sudden when I came Germany, I didn't find association of devotees initially, like for the first 7 to 8 months. So so I contacted my Shiksha Guru, whoever was there, who brought us to the path of like association, Krishna consciousness. I asked him like, I want to get access to like Bhagavatam and all. He said like, if it's not being possible for you to read it alone or you're not finding it interesting, just listen to the lectures of the disciples of Prabhupada. Or
Yeah.
So in that way, you are getting association of Bhagavatam.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You have to start somewhere. Right. And if reading is not your thing, then you listen. Yeah, not many people like to read also, that's true. I mean, nowadays we have audiobooks also. A lot of audiobooks. So
I prefer like first listen and then read, so that it gets well to understand.
Yeah. I personally like audiobooks also. You just download them, and then when you are doing something, you listen to them also. That's also nice. We use modern technology to serve Krishna, listen to Bhagavatam. And it's sometimes very interesting because this opportunity was not available before, just listening to Bhagavatam when you are doing something. When you are doing something, you are doing that thing, let's say 20 years ago. But now, if you are cleaning, you can listen to Bhagavatam. If you are going for a walk, you can listen to lectures. Yeah. Okay. Can I stop here? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Next chapters.